In this quick video, we'll learn how to use a dynamic email campaign using up to 3 different segments to ensure our emails are tailored to our customers' specific interests. Before we get started, let's set up our scenario for our email campaign. We work for a company that sells fresh fruit to people all over the United States. In just a few weeks, we're having a huge sale on all kinds of fresh fruit, so our manager has requested we send an email blast notifying our whole mailing list. In our email, we're going to include general pictures and information of some of the fruit we sell. However, we want to make this email a little more special for those who live in the states known for a specific fruit. Instead of the general pictures and information, we're going to use dynamic email content to allow the same email campaign to display the special fruit they're known for. For recipients in Georgia, we would like to feature information and images of peaches. For recipients in Hawaii, we would like to feature information and images of pineapples. And for recipients in Florida, we would like to feature information and images of oranges. Everyone else will receive our default fruit information and images. Now that we have our scenario laid out, let's get started. There are 2 ways to get started with this setup. Create your segments now or proceed with setting up your email and worry about your segments later. If you would like to create your segments first, click the hamburger menu on your sidebar to see all of your menu options, then select Lists. Once in the List menu, click the tab on the left side for Segments. Proceed to create your segments by clicking the green Create button in the top right corner. For this example, we'll be creating our segments in the email builder as we go. For more information on creating segments ahead of time, please refer to the Sugar CRM support site or SugarU. Since we're jumping straight into creating our email, we can use the Quick Create menu on our sidebar, shown as the plus sign, or we can hover on the email icon on our sidebar, click the kebab menu, and select Create Email. We're going to start with filling out the basics of our email as per usual. However, when we get to the subject line, we're going to add our first bit of dynamic email content. On the subject line, click the Settings gear icon to configure dynamic email options. We'll start by setting up our default subject line, which is the subject line that appears to anyone who does not live in one of our special states mentioned previously. Now, we'll start by adding our segments by clicking Create Segment. First, we'll have a name for our segment. Then, we'll choose our record type. Since we're focusing on the individual people who live in these states, we're going to use contact. This applies to both contacts and leads. Then, we'll set our parameters. For the field, we'll choose mailing state. For our operator, we'll choose equals. And for our value, we'll put GA for Georgia. You can continue adding more filters and groupings to your segment if need be. After you configure the segment, you'll be prompted to enter the subject line for this particular segment. Since we're focusing on Georgia in our first segment, we'll be sure to mention peaches in our subject line. Then, click Save. Now, we'll repeat this process for our other 2 segments, Hawaii and Florida. After all these segments are complete, click Save to save your configured dynamic subject line. Proceed through the rest of the email setup as normal, and feel free to add any dynamic configuration along the way. After that, work through selecting an email type and creating the email to your liking. During the email build step, you'll have a lot of dynamic content options you can use to tailor your email to your segments. View these options by clicking on the widget option on the sidebar and looking under the Dynamic Elements section. You can drag and drop these elements like any normal email element. Once added to the email, you'll need to configure them to show dynamic content. All dynamic content elements are configured the same way on the build step. For this scenario, we'll be using a dynamic image to feature an image of fruit in our email. Once the element is added, the Edit menu will appear under our image placeholder. It will look the same as regular elements, but with one added icon, the lightning bolt. You will use this lightning bolt to dynamically configure your image. We'll start by clicking the lightning bolt and selecting Default to set the default image that recipients not located in our special states will get. We'll then click back on the lightning bolt and select Settings to add our segments. Because we created our segments in the last step, they are now saved forever and can be used at any time. Therefore, we can click Use Existing Segment rather than creating new ones. Select your first segment and click the Save button. Then, repeat the process for the remaining. When complete, click Save. Now, we'll click on the lightning bolt again and see that we have additional options named after our segments, along with the default and the settings option. Click one of the segment names and you'll see an image placeholder appear. This will allow you to configure the image that those in this segment only will see. You'll configure this image, alternate text, and formatting as usual for this particular segment. When complete, use the drop-down to choose another segment and repeat this process for the others. After configuring everything, use the preview option in the top right corner to view the email as if it were being received by someone within or not within your segments. Once done with your build, proceed through your email step as normal by adding your recipients and scheduling your send. Luckily, nothing special needs to be done on these steps. You should now know how to create an email using dynamic email content for multiple segments. For more information on dynamic email content, feel free to visit one of our trusted Sugar resources, SugarU, Sugar Club, or the Sugar CRM support site. Happy building!